Chapter 7, Advanced Form Techniques. We are now working on our last section. We are going to learn how to create a multi-page form. So on one form, we will be able to access several different things. Very cool, a lot of fun. So the first thing on page 444, click on Create. We're going to make some queries first. So click on Create and Query Design like we've done so many times. This time we want 3 tables, so we want the book rep table, the customer table. Notice I'm just double clicking. You can do it however you want. Seminar offering. So we're going to use 3 tables. Go ahead and close that and expand these so that you can see everything. So everything's the same as what we've always done. Nothing new so far. And there's nothing new in this. We're just making something that we can put on our multi-page form or use to make it. Alright, so we want to use the book rep number from the book rep field first. So book rep number, book rep table, and then the customer number from the customer table. And I am double clicking. Then we want to go to seminar offerings. And we want to choose seminar code and hours spent. And make sure you get hours spent. And then we want to right click this row here, the empty one. Now, remember we have done build a couple of different ways and we've also typed it in. So we've typed in formulas from here, and just straight typing. This time, we are going to straight type it in. So let's go to Zoom to do that. And honestly, we don't even have to right click. We can just type it. But Zoom lets us see it better. So that's a nice little feature right there. Hours remaining, that is going to be the name of our field when we look at it. So we take hours remaining, and I'm on the last bullet of number 2 on page 444. It says hours remaining colon and then open bracket total space hours. Now remember we do the brackets because the field name that we're using has a space, and Access doesn't work with spaces well at all. Alright, so total hours minus bracket hours spent. And remember that whenever you have an open bracket, you must have a closed bracket, just like in algebra that you learned in junior high. Alright, then from there we're going to turn the page and we're going to say OK. And the spacing, don't really worry about it. Access will fix that for you and put it the way it likes it. Alright, now we want to save this query, so we're going to hit save. And we're going to call this Reps and Seminar Offerings. And say OK. Notice, yes, we have named it Life is Great. And we're going to close that query. Now, you know, I personally like to fix things right away. That way I don't forget it later. So I personally am going to go ahead and view it. And I'm going to size it all right now. Now I believe the book does tell you to do it later, but I am telling you now, it is easier on you if you do it immediately, because sometimes we get busy and forget little things like that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and close this then and save the changes. And we're going to create a second form. So first thing we want to do is do create, and we want to do form design this time. Now make sure that this right there is selected, and you know it's selected if your property sheet button is open and you have your property sheet and this selection type says form, then you know the entire form is selected. Now we need to tell it where to get its information, and y'all know this now, so this should be pretty easy. So we're going to click on the down arrow, and the book tells us to choose book rep. So that is going to be our source, and then we're going to turn the page and see what else the book tells us to do. Alright, close the property sheet, and then we want to choose add existing fields, and we're going to choose book rep number, and I'm just going to double click because that's kind of fun to do. And then if you look at the book, it tells you to move it to, let's see, and we're going to change the label to say book rep number. So we're going to click in here, select the whole thing, say book rep number for the whole thing. And in the book, it looks like the book rep number starts just before the 1. So we're going to move this to about here-ish. Alright? And remember, everything is changeable later. Whatever floats your boat. So don't stress about it right now. That's what I'm saying. Now, the next thing we want to do is choose our text box tool. And for me, it's easier to remember, and I've had lots of students forget, because text box seems like it's just something basic like what a label is. So remember, text box, you get a label and a control, which isn't technically what they call it, but that's what I do to help everybody remember it a little better. And it looks like they put that right about here. So that's around the 3-inch mark. And then the label, I believe that they delete the label. So let's go ahead and click on the text label right there and hit delete. Now let's click in our control of our text box that we just made, and we're going to type a formula. So click again to get your insertion point, and we're going to type equal, and I'm on number 2 of, let's see what page this is, 447. The third bullet of number 2, page 447, equal, open bracket, first, space name, close bracket, and the ampersand, I mean not the ampersand, the apostrophe is, we're putting a space there. So we're doing apostrophe space apostrophe so that the computer knows that when they spit out the information that it does both. So and we're going to do the and, saying that we have 2 fields that are going to be placed in here. We're not doing any formulas to it. We're doing 2 fields together in this one box. And then open bracket, last name, space name. Alright, and we do space, square bracket, because that's how it is on our table. Alright, so what we're telling the computer is that it's going to do equal first name. So it's going to go grab the first name field and put the first name there. And I'm going to spread this out so y'all can see. And it's going to put a space, and it's going to put the last name field for that record also. So we're going to end up with first name space last name as our final thing. That's why we write that. That's what that is. Alright, so they also do tell us to go ahead and spread this out a little bit to a little bit past the 4. So we're going to try putting it just before the 5, about here. And then if you'll notice later, if that's not enough space, then you can go back and make it bigger. Or if it's too much, you can go back and make it smaller. Alright, now the next thing we want to do is close the field list. You can click up here or on the X, whatever makes you happy. And now we're going to use the tab control. Now the tab control is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th icon over in the controls of the design of the form design tools. Alright, now what this did, this is called the tab control, and you'll be able to put a different thing on each tab, and you can add as many tabs as you need. to this. So we're going to click on here, tab control, and it looks like it drops it somewhere around here. Alright, and we're not going to be exact, but notice it comes with 2 tabs, and you can put in as many as you want. And yes, you can change the names on those tabs, which is what we are about to do on page 448. Number 2, it says click the far left tab, so that's the page 4 tab. So I actually clicked on the tab itself, the page 4. Then we want to go to the property sheet, and just like we've named so many other things, notice it says page 4 right here. We're going to click right there, erase the page 4, and we are going to name this data sheet. Data sheet. Alright, now we're going to click on the second tab, and notice that when we do that, it changes that to data sheet. So click on the second tab again to now see how my page 5 is lighted up. And then we want to go name this one charts. So that tells you right there that we are going to learn how to make charts in this section, and it is pretty easy. Alright, close the property sheet, save the form, and we are going to call this Rep Seminar Data. And let me highlight that in my ebook really fast. You know, ebooks are kind of fun. I'm starting to get used to it. Alright, and then we're going to add a sub form to our tab. So we want to click on our data sheet tab. So click on data sheet tab, and then we're going to resize the entire thing as big as it is in the book. And it looks to me like the bottom right hand corner goes clear down to 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like it goes down to the 5th, down to 5 here. Alright, and out to 8 here. And remember, we can get as big as we want, and the computer will spread out our sheet for us. So that's fairly large. That means it's going to take up a lot of space. Now, the next thing we want to do is we are going to click on the More button in our controls. You should still be on your Design tab. So click on More, and this time we are going to choose the Subform Subreport tool, and we've already done this one a lot, so we should be pretty good at this one. And so we come over here, it's the third to the last button. Notice we have the call out Subform Subreport. Click on that, and then we'll come right about here. Notice that the whole thing turns black, so you know you're in an area that can take it. And then we are going to click on this position right here, just click and let go, and then we get our subform wizard. Now on our subform wizard, we are going to choose existing tables and queries, and then we will choose next. So that means we're using a table and query, not a form, right? In this case, we are going to choose, my highlights all went away, reps and seminar offerings. So we're going to click on the down arrow, and it's going to be the query reps and seminar offerings. So let's go down, 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 reps and seminar offerings. Select that, and we're going to choose all the fields. So hit the double arrow and then do next. Now the next thing we want to do is choose from a list. So that's what we have right there. We've done this often. And show reps and offerings for each record, etc. should be selected. So now we're going to choose next, and then we're going to save it as seminar offerings for rep. So seminar offerings for rep. Now remember, this will make a totally separate form, so we can always go in and format that after we're done, and not within our rep seminar data form for reps. I'm sorry, I start talking and then I lose my place. And there you go, I'm talking too much. Seminar offerings for rep. And then we're going to finish. There we go. And here's our seminar offerings. And then we're going to save and close that. Okay. But I just got to show you what it looks like so far. Alright, pretty cool. You just did that. And see, these tabs work. Neato. And yeah, y'all just did a form within a form with tabs that could show multiple things. Awesome. Now, for me, I always want to fix things as soon as I make them, so we are actually going to modify that subform, and it looks like the book is going to tell us to do the same thing. Such a smart thing to do. So we want to right click seminar offerings for rep that we just made. So we're going to come down here. You know, this is getting annoying. I'm going to click on that, and that way it collapses all those queries down. We're just looking at the form right now. Seminar offerings for rep. Notice I get the call out. For me, it's the last form. And I'm going to right click. Book says to right click to open. I'm just going to double click. I hate right clicking that. We're going to select the whole thing and double click so that it is resized so that we can see everything. Now, that is big. In a normal life, we would want to make this prettier, and we can always do that later. Alright, so for this purpose, we need just to resize it to fit. So we're going to hit save because life is grand, and then we're going to close this. Now, we're going to go back to our rep seminar data form. So double click rep seminar data, and let's close our navigation panel. Then we're going to resize our seminar offerings for rep form. So we're going to click right here or anywhere in here, and we want to go to design view. That would be the wise thing, you think. Select it now, and if you don't get an orange box, notice how I didn't get an orange box straight off. So sometimes if you don't hit it just right, you got to click around till you find it. Now they tell us to resize it to the size that they say, which is a little about 6 1/4 across. So just make it wider, and they left it at right about 3 or just below here. So we'll try that. That seems a little large for now, but we'll follow the directions, and then of course when you're done you can go back and make it pretty, because I do grade on that. If it looks nasty, I will count off because nasty is unprofessional. Alright, next page, page 452. We're going to change the background colors. So you already know how to do this. We'll zip through it a little bit quickly. We want to click on the Format tab in our Design Tools. Then we're going to go to our background color. Now, first, before we do that, we need to get in our Detail section. My bad. There we go. Now we're in our Detail section. Make sure you don't click on anything but background. Now we've got our background color. And we're going to choose a light gray 2 in the standard colors. So go down to the standard colors, light gray 2. I wish we could do something besides gray. I'm getting tired of it. So boring. Alright. Actually, it really is a good color for what we're doing. Alright, so now we want to go to the Design tab in our Form Design Tools. And we're going to click on our Charts tab. Now our charts looks like a column chart. So, before we do that, let's click on our Charts tab, like they said. Charts tab. And notice I have to click once and it selects the control, and then a second time and I got the tab itself. That's what we need to click on. Now we want to go to our More button, which for me, I don't have to do that. But if you need to, you need to. And then we want to choose our Insert Chart tool. So now we get to click on that. And then we're going to click over here in the top left corner. Notice how the whole thing turns black when you slide over the section. Now we have this here, and we're going to choose the Queries option. So make sure that in the view it says Queries. So now we can see all of our queries. And we want to choose Reps and Seminar Offerings. So slide down to Reps, and notice they're in alphabetical order. Reps and Seminar Offerings query that we just made. And do Next. And let's see, what are we going to chart here? It looks like we're going to select the seminar code and hours spent. So seminar code and hours spent is what we're going to chart there. Alrighty then. And then we're going to turn the page. And on page 454, number 3, it says to hit the Next button. And we are going to choose the pie chart in the lower left corner. So it's the first column, last row. And then choose Next. And for this, we're going to make sure that this says seminar code. This says some of hours spent. So this is the field for the series. Field for the series. Field for the data. And we're going to choose Next. Then we have, this should say book rep number. And this should also say book rep number. And then we're going to choose Next and turn the page. Alright. And this is going to be saved as, and what we type here is going to be the title for our chart. Hours spent by seminar offering. And then make sure it looks pretty. Yes, and hit finish. Alright. Now we want to add a second chart. So we're going to do exactly the same thing, just put different information on it. So click on your chart. This time we're going to come about here to the right of the chart we just made. Notice that's where it's going to go. And this time we're going to do hours remaining. So we are going to go down to we're doing queries again, and reps. Alright, I've already forgotten which one we used. So that's okay, because we can go back and look. Sometimes we have too much on our mind, right? So we go back and see which table we used. Reps and seminar offerings. There we go. And we're going to choose Next. And now I have to go back to the page we were on. So much fun. Sorry about this. It is what it is. Alright. And in this case, we are going to select hours remaining instead of hours spent. So they want us to click on seminar code and move that over, and then hours remaining instead of hours spent, and move that over. Now we'll do Next and choose the first column, last row, that bottom left hand corner pie chart, and Next. And everything's the same but looks different. Do Next and leave it the way it is. Do Next. And this time we're going to name this chart Hours Remaining by Seminar Offering. and we're going to hit finish. Now it says to resize the two charts, so I'm saying since they are set at 4, that would be half and half. So we'll go ahead and grab this and we can drag it over to here to make it, we might as well let it take up all of that, right? And I'd say you do what you think looks good. In this case, for me, big looks professional. That way everybody can see it. And notice we have spent and remaining. Alrighty, so we're going to save that. And the book says to close the form. So we can do that. Or we can just go to view. Alright, now here's our data sheet. Here's our charts. Very, very pretty. Awesome, awesome. On page 456, they say to open it in form view. And you know you're in form view if you look at the flyout down there in the bottom right hand corner. And then it looks like sweet. And it says to make sure our navigation pane is closed. Then it says click on the charts tab. Go back to design view. Aren't you glad we didn't close it? And then it says to click on charts tab again. So notice how when we did that this orange box selected everything. Alright, so now we're going to right click the hours spent by seminar offering. When you do right click, if you right click the tab, it gets the entire control and you don't get what you need. When you right click this area, it gets both charts, and then you don't get what you need. So you must right click the actual chart object. So I'm going to click in the chart. Notice I have my square around this chart only. So make sure you have the orange square around this chart only. Then right click it. And you want to go to chart object and choose edit. Alright, and then we're going to turn the page to 458 and we're going to do hold on a second. Then we're going to right click the chart again and do chart type command. So we'll slide down to here. Notice you don't want to click on a title because you'll get something different. So make sure you get in the white area. Slide down to chart type. Alright. And then we want to turn the page. And we're going to use a subtype, which is very cool. I love the 3D charts. We're going to do click on the chart subtype in the middle of the first row of the chart subtypes. So middle of the first row, that is pi with a 3D visual effect, and say OK. Also notice that if you wanted to change some stuff up, you could change it here. Cool? Cool. Alright. And then it wants us to do the same thing to the other chart. So we are going to deselect the chart we're on, click on the other chart, right click, do chart object, edit. Now right click in the white area, go to chart type, and choose the same pi with a 3D visual effect, the second one in the first row, and say OK. Alright, Beautimus, and then we will click out of it to deselect. Now it wants us to format the chart title, so we're going to right click our spent by seminar offering chart. So we're going to click on right click the chart, and then we're going to go back to chart object again and choose edit. We should have done this all at the same time, but whatever. Right click the legend and we'll do format, And then we want to click on placement, and we want to put it somewhere different. Turn the page. My book doesn't want to move. I think. Alright. We're going to choose a bottom. So we're going to move that to the bottom. That's a common place to put it. And then we want to do the same thing to, let's see, press and hold or right click the pie chart. So let's right click the pie chart itself, and we're going to do format data series. I guess I should read directions, and then choose data labels tab and choose percentage. That's a good normal thing to do. Also, I like that. And now we're going to say okay. Wow, that's attractive. Not. And then we're going to say, okay, that means there's something strange going on. Oh, that means that these guys have nothing. Okay. And then we want to do the same thing to the other chart. So we'll click right here. And then click right there again. Right click, chart object, and edit. Want to right click the legend, format legend, and go to placement, place it on the bottom, and say OK. Right click the chart itself, format data series, go to data labels, and choose percentage, and say OK. Awesome. That looks excellent. And now we want to save. Click out, save, and close. Awesome. Alrighty then. Now let's turn the page, and we are done. Awesome. So y'all have accomplished a lot, and it wasn't that scary, right? Alright. Have a good time with your lessons.